Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video I'm going to be doing a yearly review of World of Warcraft for the year of 2019. This happened to actually be a pretty big year for World of Warcraft, which is a lot saying something about a game in its 15th year, celebrating its 15th anniversary this year. But it was a pretty big year for World of Warcraft, which is still going strong. Obviously, some people like to point at the numbers that they had in the early 2000s and compare them to now when there just weren't as many games available to play, especially online back then as there is now. So obviously, people are going to diverge into different paths. However, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this year, what I thought of this year in World of Warcraft, and maybe my thoughts on the next coming year of World of Warcraft. So, we had this entire year took place in Battle for Azeroth now. We saw the azerite system have changes made to it. Blizzard responding to the players, changing the way the azerite works, the necklace traits, all that kind of thing. So, at the beginning of Battle for Azeroth, a lot of people were very unhappy with it. These changes quelled a lot of that, not all of it, and further changes happening with the removing of Titan Forging and the add of corruption, which of course we won't see this year. Obviously, the elephant in the room of this year, and the biggest thing would be the introduction of Classic WoW. So this caused a ton of players to come back, resub, get into it. Some of those players went back and started playing retail WoW. Some of them are going to just die hard play Classic forever. And a lot of them just kind of said, yeah, I don't have time for this, and stopped playing altogether. And that's fine too. But this was really big for World of Warcraft because it basically said, hey, you know what? We're open to letting people who enjoyed past expansions of the game continue to enjoy those past expansions of the game or initial launch of the game without, having to play the current game. You still need a sub, but if you don't like the new game, that's fine. You can play an older version of the game, which is true with most games. I can go play. Technically, I could boot up an Xbox and go play Halo 2. Although there wouldn't be much of an online community for that. I don't even think that's supported anymore. I have no idea. But the basic premise remains the same. I can go play an old game or an older version of a game online usually, or just in general, and still enjoy playing it. Since World of Warcraft's only online, I think that's the big difference. I could go play the story mode of Halo 2, which is a game I loved. At any time I want, I can go back and play, any story mode of any game I loved from back in the day. So that's a very good step by them. It definitely, obviously, they made a lot of money from it as well, so it wasn't just all a genuine, humanitarian step, but it was a very big deal and a very big thing and a sign of possible things to come with releasing of other expansions that you can play as solo as well. And in fact, if they just released one every 2 years or so, that would probably be a pretty big money grab. As long as probably only for the first few, maybe then later on Mists of Pandaria, because a lot of people like Mists of Pandaria, even though I don't. But just in general, that was a very big thing for them. We also had the 15th anniversary come up, which I kind of already mentioned. That's a big thing for a game. 15 years, going pretty strong still, like I mentioned. It could be stronger, of course, but overall, I'm sure they're fairly happy. Of course, they're always going to push for more. But a big 15th anniversary event, bringing back some old raids, Korrak's Revenge, and all that kind of stuff like that. We also had the introduction of the Shadowlands expansion that's going to be coming out, revealed to us at BlizzCon this year. A lot of people are pretty hyped for it. I'm overall hyped for it. I think it has a lot of promise. I think most expansions have promise, although I will say I was a little bit less promised about BFA because it was the faction against each other, which I think are overall the worst expansions, are the faction versus faction ones. Because the factions just aren't balanced. That's just what all it is at the end of the day. You see Horde really take advantage of this expansion with War Mode, and Alliance kind of fall to the wayside. There's been no fix to War Mode, of course. That's a downside for this year. But, who knows what we'll get in the future. Hopefully some sort of fix that lets Alliance be a little bit more competitive overall, because there's still a lot of really good Alliance players, and so it stinks that we feel like we have to go Horde if we really want to be top of the line. So Also, for this year, there wasn't a ton of stuff like in the middle of the year, I suppose, besides the release of Classic. And we just basically had a couple patches come out, a couple changes to the azerite, a couple changes here and there. And then, the new raids coming out. We did have a Jara. We got to fight a Jara for the first time. We got to go to Nazjatar. The Mechanomes allied races, that's always an interesting thing. The Zandalar Troll allied race, the Mechanome allied race, the Coltiran allied race, and I'm missing one. And then we had the announcement of new allied races with like the Volpera, and the Mechanome. I guess I did mention that. But so this year has been overall a good year, better than the previous one, just because the BFA launch was not that great. So you had them fixing things, announcing new things that are promising, and some just good experiences, a 15th anniversary event, like I mentioned, and overall a pretty good year. Coming up in the next year, obviously I think we should all be positive about it. Shadowlands looks pretty cool. Who knows if they'll do it right or not, but overall it looks really cool. I'm really excited for it. I love that they are advancing more with the solo content. I think that's something that's going to be really vital to the game going forward. They've already put a lot into Mythic Plus, but that's still high-end 5-man content at the end of the day. And the solo content thing, I think, is just a little bit more appealing to people who don't have a lot of time. Because unless you have, and like me, I have 2 friends that very casually play World of Warcraft anymore. That's it, like real life friends. It's hard to have 4 really reliable friends that you can do a 5-man group with. It happens. There's tons of them, of course, but for every group there's like however many people who don't have one of those reliable groups that they can do stuff with. And I fall into that camp myself. Part of that is kind of being a little bit antisocial, and part of that is just, I started playing the game with real life friends, and as they stopped playing, I just kind of never replaced those with in-game friends to do kind of lower amount of people content with. So that's just been my personal issue. It's probably a lot of people's issues. And then there's some people who just don't have very many friends, and that's fine too. Introverted, antisocial, etc. But I really love the leaning into the solo content. So we're going to see that with the Visions of Enzoth coming in 8.3 next year. We're going to see that in Shadowlands coming with the Tower of Torghast. And that is 1 to 5. Of course, you can do it with a group, but it's just available solo content. We saw it previously in the Mage Tower and stuff like that. Not many people did the Deaths of Chromie scenario overall. That was a great, fun thing, and that's basically what the Visions of Enzoth are. I think they should definitely lean into that more. That should be what we do if we're like bored during the week, instead of island expeditions and scenarios and these things that they keep trying to push on us. Give us a solo content, a line of solo content to do, which is basically what the Tower of Torghast is, but something that they keep updating, keep making better, harder, better rewards, and just progressing through the game along with the Mythic Plus content, the rating content. Something that they don't really do with the professions very well, in my opinion, is keep progressing them throughout the expansion, especially like for selling things. They don't progress the especially the crafting professions very well. So progress those. First of all, that's also solo content technically, but your professions. So progress those better. The Tower of Torghast, make that a good thing. More solo content, more solo content. It can even be cosmetic rewards, but solo content is really awesome. And I'm saying that as a raider who loves 20-man content. So I also just love to do solo content. So that's what I'm hoping for more of next year. That would really make me happy. And so overall, I'm very happy this year. Happy New Year to everybody. Hopefully you had a good World of Warcraft year. Hopefully nothing terrible happened to you in game or in real life. Please subscribe to my channel because that helps me out a lot. I appreciate it. So other than that, everybody have a good one.